You're listening to the N2K Space Network.
Ransomware, supply chain attacks, and zero-day exploits can strike without warning, leaving your business's sensitive data and digital assets vulnerable. But imagine a world where your cybersecurity strategy could prevent these threats. That's the power of the ThreatLocker Zero Trust Endpoint Protection Platform. Robust cybersecurity is a non-negotiable to safeguard organizations from cyber attacks. ThreatLocker implements a proactive, deny-by-default approach to cybersecurity, blocking every action, process, and user unless specifically authorized by your team. This least privilege methodology mitigates the exploitation of trusted applications and ensures protection for your organization 24/7, 365. IT professionals are empowered by ThreatLocker application allow listing, ring fencing, network control, and EDR solutions, enhancing their cybersecurity posture and streamlining internal IT and security operations. To learn more about how ThreatLocker can help mitigate unknown threats in your digital environment and align your organization with respected compliance frameworks, visit threatlocker.com.
Today is January 8th, 2025. I'm Maria Varmazis, and this is T-Minus.
T-Minus 20 seconds to LOS T-Dress. Go for deploy. Roger roll.
Galat Satellite Networks has successfully closed the acquisition of Stellar Blue Solutions.
4.
Rocket Lab selected to join the Kratos-led team for the multi-service advanced capability hypersonic testbed.
3.
Deorbit has signed a launch service contract with Pale Blue.
2.
JAXA's first wooden satellite in space has been deployed from the International Space Station.
1.
Dr. V. Narayanan has been appointed as the new ISRO chairman. And our guest today is Tony Brown, founder and president of the AFCEA Space Coast chapter. They've just signed a strategic agreement with Spacecom to expedite procurement acquisition lead times. The first joint initiative will be an inaugural two-part acquisition panel series at Spacecom Space Congress 2025, which is being held later this month, by the way, so stay with us to find out more about it. We're kicking off this midweek intel briefing for you with a slurry of news out of India, starting with the appointment of Dr. V. Narayanan as the new chairman of the Indian Space Research Organization, also known as ISRO. Narayanan will take charge from S. Somanath on January 14th, when the latter's tenure at the helm ends. He'll also assume the position of secretary at India's Department of Space. India's government appointed Narayanan to serve for a period of 2 years. He currently serves as the director of the Liquid Propulsion Systems Center. This news comes as the United States and Indian national security advisors met in Washington, D.C. this week to forge a strategic technology partnership to include space. The nations are working to reduce barriers to collaboration around commercial space technology, following the U.S. government's recent conclusion of updates to Missile Technology Control Regime export policy. India and the United States are also working towards the launch of a new bilateral space accelerator to promote commercial space cooperation, including around lunar exploration, human spaceflight, geospatial data and services, and the co-development of technology. And also staying in India, after launching on December 30th, the nation's space docking experiment, also known as SpaceX, has been delayed again. ISRO has further postponed the docking attempt for SpaceX after detecting excess drift between the two mission satellites. The Indian Space Agency stated that the issue arose during a maneuver to reduce the distance between the satellites to 225 meters, with the drift exceeding expectations after a non-visibility period. A revised timeline for the docking attempt will be announced soon. Moving over to Japan now, and JAXA's first wooden satellite in space has been deployed from the International Space Station. The LignoSat arrived at the space station in December, and the CubeSat is designed to see how wood performs in the harsh environment of space as a potential sustainable alternative to conventional satellite materials. The LignoSat is designed using 10-centimeter long Honoki magnolia wood panels assembled with a Japanese wood joinery method. Researchers will use sensors to evaluate the strain on the wood and measure its responses to temperature and radiation in space. Moving over to Italy now, and D-Orbit has signed a launch service contract with Pale Blue. Pale Blue is a Japanese space propulsion company specializing in water-based propulsion systems that are suited for a wide variety of missions for spacecraft, ranging from 3U CubeSats to 700-kilogram satellites. Under the agreement, D-Orbit will conduct an in-orbit validation mission of Pale Blue's water ion thrusters using its Orbital Transfer Vehicle, or OTV, ion satellite carrier. The contract covers the integration of 2 propulsion systems on D-Orbit's OTV and includes the operations period. The missions are scheduled for launch in June and October of this year. It's an international show today. Now we're heading over to New Zealand, and Rocket Lab has been selected to be a member of the team led by Kratos Defense and Security Solutions that has been awarded a 5-year contract for the Multi-Service Advanced Capability Hypersonic Testbed 2.0 under Task Area 1. The total potential value of the MACH-TB 2.0 contract award over a 5-year period is $1.45 billion. The Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering Test Resource Management Center established MACH-TB to support its National Hypersonic Initiative 2.0 by creating an affordable flight test bed to rapidly increase hypersonic flight test capacity. MACH-TB 2.0 will provide an affordable bridge between hypersonic ground tests and system-level flight tests. Rocket Lab will join the Kratos-led team of subcontractors that will provide systems engineering, assembly, integration and test, mission planning and execution, and launch services. Israeli company Gilat Satellite Networks has successfully closed the acquisition of Stellar Blue Solutions, which is a U.S.-based provider of next-generation SATCOM terminal solutions. The acquisition's consideration at closing was $98 million in cash. The consideration payment in connection with the acquisition may increase by up to an additional $147 million in cash, with the condition that the acquired business achieves operational and strategic business milestones during the first 2 years that follow the signing of this agreement. Gilat expects its annual revenues from Stellar Blue to range between $120 and $150 million in 2025, based on Stellar Blue's robust backlog. And before we close out our Intel briefing today, a quick note about the ongoing wildfires raging in Southern California. Many facilities are understandably closed today because of the danger, including NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. But much more important than facilities are the people who work and live in the area. We're all thinking of you. Please take care and stay safe. That concludes our Intel briefing for today. You'll find 3 additional stories in the selected reading section of our show notes, along with further reading on all the stories mentioned. They cover cyber attacks on JAXA linked to Chinese hacker Mirrorface, Rivada's expansion to their Asia-Pacific team, and a story from Reuters on SpaceX's plans for expansion in Italy. Hey T-Minus crew, if you find this podcast useful, please do us a favor and share a 5-star rating and short review in your favorite podcast app. That'll help other space professionals like you to find the show and join the T-Minus crew. Thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/SBO. Terms and conditions apply.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
We here at T-Minus Space are excited to be heading to Space Week in Florida from January 27th through the 30th. I'll be hosting our podcast from the convention center floor from Tuesday through Thursday that week and doing interviews around the show floor. So please come by and say hello if you'll be in Florida later this month. I'm looking forward to seeing you all there. And speaking of Space Week, today's guest is Tony Brown, founder and president of the AFCEA Space Coast chapter. Now, AFCEA International is a nonprofit membership association serving the military, government, industry, and academia. It advances professional knowledge and relationships in the fields of communications, IT, intelligence, and global security. AFCEA Space Coast chapter has just signed a strategic agreement with Spacecom to expedite procurement acquisition lead times. The first joint initiative will be an inaugural two-part acquisition panel series at Spacecom, which is part of Space Week.
I consider AFCEA an organization of collaboration, basically, with the federal government, state and local agencies, and the community, and just putting kind of partnerships together in a collaborative ecosystem where we have kind of communication. So when I talk to base commanders or I talk to folks in the government, I say, what could you use from an organization like us to maybe help collaborate industry and workforce development and other different scenarios? One of our leaders, Colonel Mike Black, says he likes to think of us as almost like a thought leader. And so it's just a very interesting platform. Different chapters do different things, different ways, but we're just so excited to be doing whatever we can to support folks in the Cape Canaveral region. There was this ecosystem that seems to be very robust with industry and the DoD, where they actually have these sessions. And I think they're approximately 8 to 9 times out of the year, maybe more. But basically where the government lets industry know what they're looking at in the future as far as acquisitions are concerned. And it gives industry a chance to respond appropriately. And so, like I say, this has been a very robust ecosystem. And in my what if mode, I said, what if this kind of model we could do in space and the Canaveral region? And that was a thought process that I kind of thought about a year ago. I know a lot of other people had been thinking about it. I started to kind of run this up the ladder. Everybody that I spoke to thought it would be a great idea. And then the next thing was, how are you going to do this? And I did the regular thing. I said, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. And that's where we got there. Had talked to some retired DoD folks that I won't mention their name right now. It'll come up later. And I said, what if? And they said, oh, yeah, you can do it and we can do it. And all of a sudden I called over to Spacecom, sent some emails, and next thing you know, it has legs now. Reached out to stakeholders within DoD and NASA. They were like, okay, and here we go. Now it's lights, cameras, action now.
Yeah, I was going to say, so at Spacecom, that's coming up just in a few weeks. My goodness, this is, and by the time this goes to air, even less time. Really soon. So this is going to be sort of introducing the space community to this idea, this best practice, kicking things off. It sounds like. Yeah,
exactly, and kind of like the premiere, right? It's like the premiere of a series. Hopefully, if we look at it. And I find it great that we're talking about these analogies. So we've gone from space to the ocean, and now we're talking Hollywood.
Movie premieres.
Right,
yeah,
movie premieres, right? So let's keep it along those lines. But yeah, so this would be like the first one, as far as I can tell. And the thing that I thought would be unique for this venue, if we at least do this yearly, and this format, is that we'll have so many acquisitions and so many stakeholders from all around the country and actually the world at this event. So what better way to kind of introduce this model and at least letting it be annual, for that one, because you'll have all the stakeholders within one place in 1 year. And it's in January, which everybody's like coming off the holidays. And what are we looking at as far as planning for the next year? But I'm hearing the same things, and it's always about solving a problem, right? DOD is saying, hey, we have threats. We have things like our adversaries could be far ahead than we are. And they're saying, we want industry to give us solutions. And I'm hearing industry saying, hey, we'd really like to know what DOD wants. And I'm saying, oh, okay, well, here we go. Let's create an ecosystem in order to foster that. And my big word is collaboration. I love that word, because I think when people collaborate, there's nothing that we can't get done or solve.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that collaboration is so key. And hearing that those forces of those lines, sorry, I am mixing up my own metaphors now. Those lines of communication being open, especially at an event as big as SpaceCom, is going to be so crucial. I really look forward to hearing what kicks off from this, because we're going to be time out. We're going to hear that this is where it all began, and I think it's going to be really, really cool to hear that. And then beyond SpaceCom, you're still super busy with other things. So I'm just going to drop the phrase Space Grove, because that's the first I heard of it when I read it in the press release. Because I was like, come on, there's space this, space that. Now we got Space Grove. So you're shaking your head like, but I got to give it to you. I like it. Tell me about Space Grove as a collaboration hub. What is it? What's happening with this?
Okay. See, I was hoping you wouldn't do that, but Maria, you caught me.
No.
You did it. Okay, so
I did it.
so it's kind of like the pulse, right? Like there's already something in place there, right? So and we're probably not going to call it a pulse. It's going to be called something else, okay? But there is a tech grove in Orlando that's a very robust community involving UCF and DOD and industry, and it's a really wonderful ecosystem of collaboration. And again, not trying to reinvent the wheel. So if we could create this quote unquote, that word that you just brought up.
You're like, I don't want to say it. It's fine.
I don't want to say it. I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'll get a call later on going, how did you use that name, or what's going on here? But hey, we put it out there, so I'm gonna run with
right
it.
Onto it.
Right?
I'm sorry. I saw that. I was like, I kind of love that, but I get it.
So the teaser is looking to hopefully build out this ecosystem that would foster academia, industry, and now in my eyes, I know what I want it to look like, but I won't go there right now.
Really? Because I was gonna ask you, what do you want it to look like? You don't want to tell me. All right. So you want the community to make that happen.
You always it's like a trailer. You just kind of got to throw it out there. And,
all right.
And see, throw it up against the wall and see how. But definitely would it's a dream. Would love to make this work, and it's needed. And it's needed.
Yes.
So
yeah, and you're right at the start of it, really, truly. So it's a very exciting place to be. I won't say Space Grove any more than the time I just said it, so I'll stop saying it. I'm so sorry.
You're scaring me, Maria. Like tonight, I might have nightmares. I might be like, did I actually say that? So I don't know whether I get the calls later on to say, wow, that's a great idea, or what the heck are you doing, Tony? So I'm coming back to you one way or the other.
All right, I'm in trouble now. The idea behind this collaboration hub, I think, is fantastic. So the collaboration being key, it's wonderful that it's a sustained effort, not just at an event as a one-off, but long-term. So needed. It's going to drive things forward. It's fantastic. Congratulations, Tony, on the launch of all this, and as it moves forward. It's just really exciting to hear about. And I'm thrilled that you took the time to tell me about it. I'm sorry about saying the word phrase. I won't say it again. Thank you for taking the time to walk me through it. I appreciate it. Is there anything else you want to leave the audience with? I won't ask you to say that phrase again. Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
So one, I want to put this back on. Remember, we talked about collaboration. This is collaboration, right? And so what I want to say to you is, one, thank you for the opportunity. I love the T-Minus platform. It's very interesting, and thank you for what you're doing as far as communication, with the community and space and all of that. I'm really honored to be a part of the space programs down here. And a year and a half ago, this wasn't on my whiteboard. None of this was on my whiteboard. None of this was even a thought process. So it's funny how quickly things can move. But and also, I think another thing was, when we first talked, you got it right away. It made sense. There wasn't.
It makes so much sense, Tony.
It wasn't. It wasn't talking to like me being the nutty professor and you digging deep. It makes sense, and it makes sense for the community. So we hope that maybe a few months later you say, "Hey, how did it go?" And I'm like, "You would not believe." And then I'm hoping to actually be able to use that word, those two words. Space growth. It happened. I said it.
That happened. Okay. That happened. I know when I check back in with you in a quarter or two, in some time, not too long, there are going to be incredible stories about what came out of this that are just going to blow my hair. It's going to blow my hair back. It's going to be amazing. So I can't wait to hear about it. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much for your leadership on this. And for getting such an incredible initiative started. So I really look forward to hearing how it goes and hopefully meeting you at SpaceCom as well.
Well, thank you. You put a lot of pressure on me by, saying that the event's I feel like I'm going into a Super Bowl game and we're expected to win. And so I've got to do one event at a time, and we'll go from there.
That's right, Tony. All right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to speak to me today.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. An interesting story piqued our interest as it came across the T-Minus desk this morning, and it is about future tech, still very much in the theoretical realm, but it's grounded in something that is a personal favorite of mine, light sails, also known as solar sails. Not new tech or even a new idea. Deploy a massive sail in space and let the photons from the sun push it along, acting as solar wind. The idea is that the steady photon stream from the sun, or really any star, would cause continuous acceleration, with theoretically the only speed limit there being the speed of light. That could potentially make spacecraft interstellar. It's a cool idea, and sci-fi loves a light sail. Star Trek Deep Space Nine and For All Mankind both feature it. The obvious problem with it, though, is that as you get further and further away from your star, that light pressure is going to diminish. So, why not bring your own light source? How's about lasers for light pressure? That is a fascinating idea that the Breakthrough Initiative's Starshot program is working on tackling. Now, there are a lot, and I do mean a lot, of engineering challenges with light sails alone, let alone all of those before you can say, beam me up or over and add some lasers. For one thing, the sails have to be both huge and ultralight, so you can't attach much of a spacecraft to them. Think nanocraft at best. And a laser pointing at something so delicate could quite easily fry a hole in things. But nothing worth trying is easy, and humanity loves a challenge. And the team of scientists and engineers tinkering away on this one say, if they can make it work, our closest neighboring star, Alpha Centauri, would only be 20 years away. That sounds to me like a worthy moonshot. Centauri shot? That's it for T-Minus for January 8th, 2025, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. For additional resources from today's report, check out our show notes at space.n2k.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. You can email us at space@n2k.com or submit the survey in the show notes. Your feedback ensures we deliver the information that keeps you a step ahead in the rapidly changing space industry. N2K Strategic Workforce Intelligence optimizes the value of your biggest investment, your people. We make you smarter about your team while making your team smarter. This episode was produced by Alice Carruth. Our associate producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester, with original music by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Our executive editor is Brandon Karpf. Simone Petrella is our president. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. And I'm your host, Maria Varmazis. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
T-minus